My name's Mullin, and I'm sure, like me, you've had a look through the programme for the upcoming conference. And in doing this, I found two of the concepts that were frequently kind of coming up were ecosystem services and the idea of justice. And these are actually the two areas that I'm interested in connecting closer for my research, and particularly in respect to the mapping of ecosystem services. So we incorporate ideas of justice in ecosystem service research through, for example, payments for ecosystem service schemes, and also through the participation of stakeholders in valuations. There's also been a real push to identify who the beneficiaries are when mapping ecosystem services. And these maps that identify the beneficiaries do actually show where the beneficiaries are located, but usually, or rarely, they actually go on to examine the socio-economic characteristics of those beneficiaries. And this is what I really want to do for my research. And so I'm going to start by mapping some ecosystem services for the whole of England, and also in more detail for an urban area in England. I then want to compare the results to census data variables. And I hope that this will basically give me a greater understanding of environmental equity in England. It's also worth noting that both of these ideas, or these concepts, are interested in the connection between the environment and human health and well-being. And so I think it's important for my research that I also look at any relationship between environmental inequalities and the persistent health inequalities that we see in England as well. Why look at England? Well, I mean, to be biased, it is where I live, and so it's important to me personally. But also, we've got a few problems. We're a small island, population's ever increasing, we're urbanising dramatically, and there's a real need to build many more houses. And ultimately, all of these factors and many more will affect the distribution of ecosystem services. The change, the impact of the change in this distribution can only be understood if we know where we are now, really. And I hope that my work can help contribute to understanding that baseline. I also, in performing this analysis, want to think about how the challenges we face in mapping ecosystem services can actually impact upon the social distribution that is determined. And then finally, in collaboration with Natural England, I hope that I can make some recommendations for policy and delivery in terms of land management. Thank you.
I just wonder if you have any specific case study, or are you just doing it directly for England? I mean, do you have any field study or any other stuff?
No, so I'm focusing on using secondary data sets, primarily because organisations that in practice will be undertaking these kind of analysis will primarily need to use secondary data sets, and in my collaboration with Natural England as well. And so I'll be looking at the whole of England. What I quickly found, as I'm sure most people have, that actually the ability to do a national scale study is very difficult with the current data sets we have. And so I've focused on an urban area as well to see how including more data sets, better resolution data sets, will actually potentially change the distribution.
Which ecosystem services are you looking at?
Yeah, sure. That was quite a difficult question because I had to consider quite a lot of things. So the scale of the analysis, looking at justice, I had to focus on which stakeholders were important, so that's individuals. I'm really thinking about those services that had a direct impact upon people's health, I thought was important. Doing a national study, I can't do a kind of valuation with all the stakeholders. And so I kind of have avoided looking at those services that really have a high value, personal value to people. And so I'm concentrating on biophysical services, things like air pollution, coastal flood regulation.